Well, hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. I hope you're having a great day. And look, I'm way over here, but you can still hear me. I got me a new microphone. I think I like it. I got to mow this bluegrass right here and tell you a little bit about what I'm going to do. So what I've got is a few of these little boogers in here, just some old standard basic broadleaf stuff like that, and I got a good day to work. So look at that bluegrass, man, it's coming in, isn't it? It's looking pretty good. I'm going to mow it, give it a cut, put a little touch of nitrogen on it, and do a weed control with some triplet and clean up the junk. Come right here and look at this. It just don't even feel right. Look at there. Good day in the morning. Just a little over 1 inch. So I kind of get paranoid with all this technology stuff, and I find myself looking down and making sure this thing's working, that you can hear me, because the last thing I want to do is get in there and go to editing and there's no voice. So hopefully you're hearing this. We'll find out. I got some broadleaf weeds in the bluegrass, okay? To talk about a few little things about weed spraying. My philosophy is you spray the weeds when you see it. It's plain and simple. There's no real set time of the year that you would say, all right, well, I'm gonna spray weeds from this point to this point, and I'm not gonna spray them ever again. Well, that's kind of crazy, because weeds can show up at any time. Right? Yeah, we put down pre-emergence and things like that, but still, the ground isn't perfect. Things happen. Weather dictates things, and weeds can pop up. It's just, it is what it is. So I want to get the bluegrass cleaned up. Now, I've got a really nice week ahead of me. There's a few things I look for. Well, first, let's back up and let's talk about there are 2 times, well, you could call it 3, that I just will not spray weeds, period. Number 1 is that the ground's frozen rock solid, okay? Just makes sense. I don't spray weeds when the ground's frozen hard as a rock. Number 2, I don't spray weeds in extreme drought conditions, when the ground is super dry, right? Why is that? Well, the frozen rock solid and the super dry kind of go hand in hand. The weed, I like for the weed to be actively growing and actually doing something instead of laying dormant, okay? Because when the weed is actually growing and taking in and putting out whatever it's taking in and putting out, it's able to take in that herbicide a lot more efficiently, or it's just able to take it in so that it'll kill it. The 3rd time is about 3 weeks before I do my overseeding till about 2 months after the overseeding has been done. There's a big time frame in there that I just don't spray weeds. We don't spray them for our customers. I don't spray them in my yard. I don't spray them for Joe's yard, whatever. I'm just not going to spray them then. The reason is I've got all this little baby, young, tender grass that may or may not can handle that herbicide, that harsh herbicide being put on it. It just can't. And then plus, if you study labels and you read labels, they're very, very clear, or most of them are, on when you can apply a herbicide and when you can't apply a herbicide around the time of seeding. A lot of them, like this triplet, I'm pretty sure it's either 21 or 28 days, meaning if I spray this on the 1st of the month, I can't overseed my yard for 21 or 28 days. because this has to flush out of the ground, flush out of the system and all, because in one way, shape, form or the other, it will inhibit seed germination, or it might mess your plant up once it grows because it's young and tender. It can't handle that hard herbicide put on it. So read your label, big time. Read the label. There are herbicides you can spray right over top of grass seed, right before grass seed, right after germination. But the one I'm using today, you can't. It also recommends that you have mowed, I think the label says two times, I think. I'd have to go back and double check, but I'm a little more peculiar than that. I wait till about my 4th mowing after the grass is germinated, come up, and everything's cut. Then I feel like I'm safe because the plant is tilled out and filled out some. There's more leaf blade there. It's a more mature plant, and it can handle the spray of the herbicide. So I got Triplet, just a good general broadleaf herbicide. It'll clean up many weeds. And one thing I do need to do is I have a new grass type, Kentucky Bluegrass. Now I do realize that's in the cool season turf family, so that I can pretty much use any of the things I use on my fescue, I can use on my Bluegrass. But I also want to double check that, because I haven't studied Bluegrass for 12 or 13 years. I've studied it for 6 months, okay? So I'm gonna double check and make sure it's on the label. So there you go. Bahia grass, Bluegrass, common Bermuda grass, fescue, ryegrass, and zoysia is what this is recommended for. And you can see up here, it's got lawns on the label right here for yards, and there's your Bluegrass. It says use a rate of 1.1 to 1.5 ounces per 1,000 square feet. You can use it all the way up to a half a gallon, up to 5 gallons of water. And of course, some of these rules I break. With the adjuvant, I'll only use 1 ounce per 1,000 and I get the same result. And of course, I've sprayed this low volume, which would be a 0.25 or quart, many times, and get the same result with no damage to the turf. Today, I am going to run this in 2 gallons of water. I've got my little battery Sprayers Plus sprayer right here, and I'm going to put my Triplet in. Now when I'm mixing, especially if I'm spraying a herbicide, pre-emergent or post-emergent, it's a mental block for me. I want the herbicide in the tank first, so that it's mixing up with the water thoroughly. I've always been like that. I feel like that needs to go in first. A lot of times on the label, you'll have an order, and of course your wettable powders, if you have a product that's kind of a powder or granular that melts down in water, of course you always add that first. But I don't have any of that here. I've got 3 different liquids, and I'm going to put the weed control in first. Give it a stir. While I'm at it, I've been kind of tickling this Bluegrass a little bit and kind of just nudging it along nice and easily. Mr. Chris up in the mountains here in Carolina gave me that advice, and man, I'm telling you, that is working like an absolute champ. You can do this with your fescue. If you see a nice week coming up, the ground is moist. We want the ground moist. If you're anywhere close to me, your ground is definitely moist with all the rain you've been getting. If you got some little baby grass, you're just trying to tickle along a little bit and trying to push it and kind of help it mature a little faster, you can run some 1801 on it. That's fine. Lord, don't run the weed killer if you hadn't mowed it 4 times, right? We just talked about that. So here's my 1801. I gotta check my pH because I am running the adjuvant, and oh wow, I got lucky. This is cool how different products have different pHs. The 1801 and water by itself, I was up around 6.5. When I put the triplet in it, the triplet's obviously got a low pH. I'm right at the 5 mark, 5.21. So that's good. And by the way, that is about a 1,500 square foot section. So I went 10 ounces of 1801, 1.5 ounces of triplet. I got about 1.5 ounces of adjuvant. And let me say this too while I got you. You know, my timeline is very jacked up, okay? It is. We had a terrible fall with 2 hurricanes and lots of trouble and lots of issues, and I was working just non-stop. My guys were working non-stop, sun up, sundown, trying to stay on top of everything. And so my yard struggled a lot, and that video's coming. I know I've been telling you. I got a new mower I'm gonna show you when I mow my yard. So my timeline is not gonna be pristine, okay? It just isn't. So I'm doing things a little later than I typically would do them during the course of a year. So I don't want you to get confused. If you got snow on the ground, obviously you can't do this. If you know, what I'm doing now is specific to my yard and my circumstance. So I don't want you to feel like, oh, I got to run out and get this and get that and get that and go do it because he's doing it on the video. I don't want you to do that, okay? If your circumstance is somewhat relevant to mine, then you know, this will help. It is what it is. So I just want to throw that out there so nobody gets confused. Now I only have like 1,500 square foot of turf right here. So this is just the little basic fan tip nozzle that comes with the Sprayers Plus sprayer. So that's really all I'm doing. I'm holding it up high enough to where I'm about, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 foot off the ground. And I kind of know my walking speed that I need to know because I've done this several times already. I know about how fast I need to walk in order to get rid of this 2 gallons of finished solution over top of this 1,500 square feet. I get to the end, I'm gonna stop, cut it off, turn around, come right up beside it and let the I'm gonna overlap just a touch. And one of the things I'm using here is my tire tracks from my mower. We teach our guys to do that all the time. It's when they're spraying, they can use the tire tracks from people's mowing patterns, and that way that gives them a good even coverage. This mower is 21 inches wide, so I'm spraying about 42 inches wide now. And I'm about halfway done. And I'm gonna kind of give it a look right here when I get to the end. Now, I'm really liking this microphone, I'm telling you. I'm actually walking a pinch fast. I'm excited to get rid of these weeds. I'm also looking at the weeds as I'm spraying to see the coverage I'm getting. I'm just looking for a little bit of gloss when I walk by and let that ray of sun catch it. And one cool thing about the adjuvant is it is very sticky. For those of you that have it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is super sticky, and when it hits that grass blade, you can absolutely see it shining. Or when it hits that weed, you can see it shining. Some weeds it shows up a lot better than others, but for the most part, you can see it pretty well, what you sprayed and what you haven't sprayed. Now, I got a predicament I'm in. Look, I did walk too fast. So what am I going to do with this? Well, I know for a fact that this material, I've got enough material in here to cover 1,500 square feet. But I've still got product left over. So does it hurt me to kind of go back over this a second time? Well, absolutely not. No way it doesn't. Because I know that this much product is safe to go on this square footage. So I'm just gonna make another pass on it again and run out what I've got. So you're used to seeing me talk about efficiency and getting it done quick, right? Well, right now I could care less how fast I get it done because I'm chilling. I'm in relax mode. I have nothing to do and nowhere to go. And I'm actually enjoying this spray right here because in my mind I can see these weeds wilting up and they'll be dead as a hammer before long. We got a real nice week of weather coming up. We're supposed to have several days in the 60s. One I think is even a mid 60. So that will be absolutely ideal to wax these weeds and to give this bluegrass just a little touch of nitrogen. That way I can push it along just a little bit more. It is filled in tremendously. I cannot get over how this stuff spreads like that. It's long. Yeah, I don't think it's, well, I'll have to see it in the spring, but I don't think it's quite as aggressive as Bermuda. But good Lord, it's spreading in really quick. Now, if I would have stopped, if I'd had half that tank left, then I'd have stopped and then done something else with that. That means I would only put half of the product that's supposed to go on this area, and you know, who wants half a result, right? So hey, I know this video is probably a little bit longer than I'm used to making. I'm trying to keep them around 8 to 10 minutes or so. But I just had a lot of talking I wanted to do in this. So I wanted to tell you all this kind of stuff and maybe to help somebody out. But here's the bluegrass. It's looking really good. It's mowed at 1 inch. Now while I got you, fescue folks, don't get confused. This is a different grass type than what I have in my yard and what's in the test plot. I got a lot of new folks checking me out, and I don't want you to sign in and think, well, I can go out and cut my fescue at 1 inch. No, you can't. Don't you do that. This is bluegrass. It can tolerate a low height of cut. The fescue, you can't cut it at 1 inch. Not my GCI tall fescue. You better not do that. You'll ruin it. One of the things about bluegrass is it's typically grown in cooler climates. Up in the mountains, Chris grows a buttload of it. My buddy Connor out in Utah, up on top of that mountain, he grows it in his yard. Gorgeous yards, gorgeous bluegrass yards. And I wanted to do an experiment to see if I can make bluegrass live through our North Carolina summer, because our summers can be incredibly brutal. If you live anywhere near me in the Piedmont Triad, you know that to be true. We can get super hot, super dry, and the ground can get so hard that it just cracks open, literally splits open and cracks, this old red clay. So I'm gonna try this out here and see what happens, because I've got an idea. Now I can't tell you what my idea is right now, I'll tell you that later, but I've got a really cool idea. And this year is going to kind of be my test run on it, my experiment run on it. No, I'm not sowing my yard in bluegrass. I'm not going to do that. I'm still a fescue man at heart, and don't ever mistake that. But I've got a good idea. So I've got to test it for a year to make sure that idea is going to work before I spend money on the bigger idea. So hey, I hope you liked it. Subscribe and share and all that. I know yard stuff's kind of winding down. Some of you boys up there and you in the dead of winter getting snowed on, and I feel sorry for y'all, and you can keep it. I don't want no part of it. But there's still some folks that are getting some decent weather that can do things in their yard, and just want to show you what was going on. It's going into week of Thanksgiving. Thursday of this week is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. And I think that mower is supposed to be here either Wednesday or Friday. So probably next week's video, I'll probably mow and film on Friday or Saturday one of next week. And then I'm gonna do a little filming on the test plot here. I gotta mow it too. I'm gonna do a video on how to mow a ditch, or how I like to mow a ditch. A gentleman asked me to do one on that, so I'm gonna do that. And so there you go. I'm sorry I've been long-winded this video, but I just wanted to talk. Check you later.